They say the walls have ears, but on that cold October night, it wasn't the walls that betrayed them. It was their own arrogance. The rain hammered against Vincent Moreau's windshield as he sat in his Tesla, staring at the illuminated windows of his brother-in-law's penthouse. He'd driven here on instinct, a gnawing feeling that something was wrong. His wife Elena had been distant lately. Too many late meetings, too many excuses. Vincent killed the engine and stepped into the rain. At 52, he'd built a real estate empire worth $180 million from nothing. His instincts had never failed him in business. Tonight, they screamed danger. The doorman knew him well. After all, Vincent owned the building. He took the private elevator to the top floor, his Italian leather shoes silent on the marble. As he approached his brother-in-law Marcus's door, voices drifted through the mahogany. "The prenup expires in 6 months, Elena's voice, cold and calculating. 25 years of marriage, I'll get half of everything." Vincent's blood turned to ice. "And the abuse allegations?" Marcus's voice now. "My legal team has everything prepared. Psychological abuse, financial control, will destroy him." "The property's in Switzerland," Elena again. "He doesn't know I've been moving money there for 3 years. By the time we file, I'll have secured $40 million offshore." Vincent's hand trembled as he activated his phone's recording app. 23 years of marriage, 2 children, countless memories. All of it a lie. "What about Sophia?" Marcus asked. "Your daughter won't—" "Sophia's weak, just like her father. She'll believe whatever story we feed her. The important thing is timing. We strike when he's vulnerable. His Shanghai deal closes next month. That's when we move." Vincent recorded for 17 minutes, every word carved deeper into his chest. When footsteps approached the door, he slipped into the stairwell, his mind already calculating. In his car, rain streaming down the windows, he played the recording back. His wife of 25 years had turned their marriage into a business transaction. His brother-in-law, the man he'd mentored, promoted, trusted, had orchestrated his downfall. But they'd made one fatal mistake. They underestimated Vincent Moreau. As he drove through the empty streets of Manhattan, his shock crystallized into something harder, sharper. He'd built an empire from nothing. He'd survived corporate wars, hostile takeovers, market crashes. This betrayal would not break him. It would forge him into something they'd never seen coming. His phone buzzed. A text from Elena. "Working late again, darling. Don't wait up." Vincent smiled, a cold, calculated expression that would have terrified anyone who saw it. "Take your time, my love. I have work to do." In the art of war, the greatest victory is won before the battle begins. Vincent Moreau was about to prove this ancient wisdom true. Dawn broke over Manhattan as Vincent stood in his private office, 50 floors above the city. He hadn't slept. Instead, he'd spent the night transforming his boardroom into a war room. Financial documents covered every surface. 3 laptops displayed various accounts, properties, and holdings. His phone rang. James Chen, his CFO and oldest friend. "Vincent, it's 6 a.m. What's the emergency? How quickly can you freeze our joint accounts without triggering alerts?" Silence. Then, "Vincent, what's happened?" "I need you here in 30 minutes. Bring the Zurich files. All of them." While waiting, Vincent reviewed his empire's structure. 170 properties across 4 continents, development projects worth $500 million, liquid assets of $80 million. Elena had access to more than she should. His trust had been absolute. That trust would now be her downfall. James arrived with coffee, and concern etched on his face. Vincent played him the recording. His friend's expression shifted from shock to fury. "That conniving
James caught himself. "What do you need?" "First, we create a paper trail. Every transaction Elena's made in the last 3 years. Second, we restructure everything. Shell companies, offshore holdings, make my assets invisible." "That's technically legal, but it'll take time." "We have 5 months before the prenup expires. I want it done in 3. James nodded, already taking notes. "What about Marcus? He's got signing authority on the Miami project." I smiled coldly. "Leave Marcus to me. For now, we watch, we document, we prepare." His daughter Sophia called as James worked. 23 years old, fresh from Harvard Law, working at a rival firm to gain experience before joining the family business. "Dad, Mom said you didn't come home last night." "Early meeting, sweetheart. How's the Morrison case going?" They talked for 10 minutes. Vincent's heart ached. Sophia idolized her mother. The truth would shatter her world. But lies had already poisoned their family. The truth, however painful, was the only antidote. After hanging up, Vincent turned to the window. Below, the city pulsed with life, unaware of the war brewing in its heights. "James, I need you to hire a private investigator, the best money can buy." "What are we looking for?" "Everything. Elena's been planning this for 3 years. Nobody's that careful. There'll be mistakes. Affairs, hidden accounts, co-conspirators. I want it all." James hesitated. "Vincent, are you sure about this? Maybe there's another explanation." Vincent played the recording again. Elena's voice, discussing his destruction like a hostile takeover, silenced any doubt. "They want to destroy me," Vincent said quietly. "They want to take everything I've built, poison my children against me, and leave me with nothing." He turned from the window, and James saw something in his friend's eyes that made him step back. Not rage, something colder, more precise. "They think I'm vulnerable. They think I'm weak." He picked up his phone, scrolling through contacts. "They're about to learn why I've survived in this business for 30 years. "What's the plan?" "We're going to give them exactly what they want, and then, when they think they've won, we're going to show them what real destruction looks like." The war had begun.
Every predator believes they're the apex hunter until they realize they've walked into a carefully laid trap. 2 weeks after the discovery, Vincent had become a master of deception. At home, he played the devoted husband perfectly. He brought Elena flowers, took her to her favorite restaurants, even suggested a vacation to Paris, which she declined, citing work. Meanwhile, his private investigator, Rebecca Stone, had uncovered a gold mine. "Your wife's been busy," Rebecca said, sliding a thick folder across Vincent's desk. 3 years ago, she opened accounts in the Cayman Islands. The signatures match, but the name doesn't. Elena Dubois, her maiden name. Vincent flipped through bank statements. Systematic transfers, small enough to avoid detection, totaling $8 million. "There's more," Rebecca continued. "Marcus isn't just her accomplice. They've been having an affair for 18 months. The photos were damning. Elena and Marcus at a hotel in Miami, kissing in a parking garage, intimate dinners when she was supposedly at conferences. Vincent felt nothing. The pain had crystallized into purpose. "What about the abuse allegations they mentioned?" Rebecca smiled grimly. "They'd been building a case. Elena's been seeing a therapist, Dr. Patricia Vance. I did some digging. Dr. Vance lost her license in California for falsifying patient records. She's practicing here under a provisional license. So Elena is creating a paper trail of abuse that never happened." "Exactly. But here's the interesting part. Dr. Vance is being paid through a shell company owned by Marcus." Vincent leaned back. The web was more intricate than he had imagined, but every web had weak points. "I need everything on Dr. Vance. Financial records, patient complaints, the California case, everything."
His phone buzzed. Elena, texting about dinner plans. He responded with heart emojis, his face expressionless. That evening, he sat across from his wife at Le Bernardin, watching her lie with practiced ease. She spoke about their future, retirement plans, maybe a house in Tuscany, all while planning his destruction. "You seem tired, darling," Elena said, reaching for his hand. "You're working too hard." "The Shanghai deal is complex, but it'll be worth it. 50 million in profit, at least." She saw the glint in her eyes, greed barely concealed. "You should delegate more. Marcus could handle some of the workload." "I agree," Vincent replied. "In fact, I'm thinking of giving him more responsibility, maybe even a partnership stake." Elena's smile widened. "That's wonderful. He admires you so much." Later, alone in his study, Vincent made a call. "Mr. Chen, it's time for Phase 2. The restructuring is complete. Your personal assets are now held by 17 different entities across 7 jurisdictions. Elena's name isn't on any of them." "And the Shanghai deal?" "I've created a decoy. On paper, it looks like a $50 million project. In reality, it's worthless land in an industrial zone. But the documentation is flawless." Vincent smiled. "Transfer Marcus to lead the Shanghai project. Full authority. Make it look like a reward. He'll discover it's worthless eventually. Not until it's too late. What about the other matter?" "The forensic accountant found something interesting. Elena's been paying a tech specialist, someone named David Park. He's been creating digital evidence." "What kind of evidence?" "Fake emails, doctored recordings, manipulated timestamps. They're building a digital trail of your supposed abuse going back years." Vincent felt a cold admiration for their thoroughness. But every piece of false evidence they created was another nail in their coffin. "Double his fee. I want copies of everything they're creating." He stood at his window, looking out at the city lights. In 5 months, Elena planned to file for divorce armed with fabricated evidence and stolen millions. Marcus would testify against him, the trusted brother-in-law revealing Vincent's supposed dark side. They thought they were hunters closing in on their prey. They had no idea they were already trapped in his web.
Blood is thicker than water, they say. But what happens when blood itself becomes the battlefield? Sophia Moreau sat in her downtown office, staring at the email that had just shattered her world. An anonymous message with attachments, bank records, photographs, and an audio file that made her hand shake. Her mother's voice, cold and calculating. Her uncle Marcus plotting her father's destruction. She played the recording 3 times, hoping each time she'd misheard, but the evidence was undeniable. Her mother, the woman who taught her about integrity and love, was orchestrating a vicious betrayal. Her phone rang. "Mom. Darling, are you free for lunch? I have something important to discuss." Sophia's stomach churned. "Of course, Mom. Usual place?" An hour later, she sat across from Elena at their favorite bistro, studying her mother's face for signs of the monster in the recording. But Elena was perfect, warm, caring, concerned. "Sophia, I need to talk to you about your father." Here it comes, Sophia thought. "I'm worried about him. He's been different lately, paranoid, secretive. Has he seemed strange to you?" The gaslighting was masterful. Sophia played along. "He has been working a lot. The Shanghai deal, right?" "Yes, but it's more than that. He's been checking my phone, questioning where I go. I think the stress is affecting him." "That doesn't sound like Dad." Elena reached across the table, taking her daughter's hands. "I'm considering suggesting therapy, but you know how proud he is. Maybe you could talk to him." Sophia nodded, her lawyer's mind cataloging every lie. "I'll try, Mom."
After lunch, she drove straight to her father's office. Vincent looked up, surprised. "Sophia, what's wrong?" She closed the door and activated the white noise generator, a habit from handling sensitive cases. "I know, Dad." Vincent's face remained neutral. "Know what?" Sophia pulled out her phone and played the recording. She watched her father's expression shift from guarded to relieved. "How did you—" Anonymous email. "Dad, how long have you known?" 2 weeks. "And you didn't tell me?" Vincent moved around the desk, sitting beside his daughter. "I wanted to protect you. This is going to get ugly, Sophia. Your mother, she's not who we thought she was." "Apparently not. 23 years of lies. Was any of it real?" "Your childhood was real. Our family, what I thought we had, that was real to me." They sat in silence, processing the wreckage of their family. "What's your plan?" Sophia asked, finally. Vincent studied his daughter. "You're a lawyer. I can't involve you in—" "I'm your daughter first, and Mom involved me the moment she decided to destroy you. She just tried to recruit me to gaslight you. So I ask again, what's the plan?" Vincent smiled, seeing himself in his daughter's steel. "We're going to let them think they're winning. Marcus is about to take over a $50 million disaster. Your mother's hidden millions are being tracked. Every lie they tell is being documented. You need a lawyer, a good one." "I have Richardson's firm on retainer." Sophia shook her head. "Richardson's good, but Mom's been planning this for 3 years. You need someone who thinks like her, someone who can anticipate her moves." "What are you suggesting?" "Let me help, unofficially. I know how Mom thinks. I know her tells, her patterns, and I have access she doesn't know about." "Sophia, I can't ask you to—" "I'm telling you." She pulled out a legal pad. "First, we need to document everything. Every interaction, every lie. Second, we need to find who else is involved. This is bigger than just Mom and Marcus." Vincent felt a surge of pride and sadness. His daughter shouldn't have to choose sides, but Elena had forced this choice. "There's the therapist, Dr. Patricia Vance. She's creating false records of abuse." Sophia's expression darkened. "I know her. She testified in the Brennan case last year. Her testimony fell apart under cross-examination." She made notes. "I'll pull the transcripts. If she's falsifying records again, be careful. Your mother can't know you're involved." Sophia looked up, and Vincent saw his own determination reflected in her eyes. "Let her try to play me. I learned from the best, both of you, but only one of you taught me about honor." As she left, Vincent realized the stakes had changed. This wasn't just about money or revenge anymore. This was about truth, and truth, he'd learned, was the most dangerous weapon of all.
Follow the money, they say. But what happens when the money leads to a conspiracy deeper than anyone imagined? Rebecca Stone sat in a Zurich cafe, watching the entrance to Bank Helvetic Privé. After 2 weeks of investigation, she'd uncovered something that would change everything. Her phone buzzed. Vincent, checking in from New York. "The Swiss accounts are more complex than we thought," she reported. "Elena didn't act alone. There's a third player." "Who?" "Catherine Moreau, your sister." Silence stretched across the Atlantic. Rebecca could imagine Vincent's face, the shock, the betrayal cutting even deeper. "That's impossible. Catherine and I built this company together. She retired 5 years ago." "With a $40 million buyout," Rebecca finished. "Money that should have set her up for life. But she's been hemorrhaging cash. Bad investments, a gambling problem her husband developed. She's nearly broke. And Elena offered her a lifeline. 30% of whatever they take from you. Catherine has been feeding Elena inside information, old contracts, tax strategies, hidden assets from the early days." Vincent's voice hardened. "Send me everything."
Back in New York, Vincent stood in his childhood home, now Catherine's residence. His sister answered the door, her smile faltering when she saw his expression. "Vincent, what's wrong?" He stepped inside, noting the new artwork, the renovated kitchen. Blood money renovations. "We need to talk about Switzerland, Catherine." She went white. "I don't know what you—" "Stop." He pulled out his phone, showing her the bank records. "Every transfer, every meeting with Elena, every document you stole from our father's old files." Catherine collapsed into a chair, aging 10 years in seconds. "Vincent, I can explain." "Explain what?" "How you betrayed 30 years of partnership, how you sold out your own brother for money." "You don't understand," Catherine's voice cracked. "Robert's gambling destroyed us. We were going to lose everything, the house, the kids' college funds. Elena came to me with a solution." "Elena came to you? When?" 3 years ago, right after Robert's debts hit 7 figures. She said she knew people who could help, but she needed information about the company's early structure." Vincent paced, pieces clicking into place. "She was planning this even then, using your desperation as leverage. She promised no one would get hurt, just some financial restructuring during the divorce. You'd still be wealthy." "With half of what I built stolen and my reputation destroyed?" Vincent's voice was ice. "Did you know about the abuse allegations? The plan to turn my children against me?" Catherine's tears were genuine now. "No, I swear, I thought it was just about money." "It's never just about money." Vincent sat across from his sister. "Here's what's going to happen, Catherine. You're going to help me, or I'll ensure you and Robert face charges for conspiracy and fraud." "Vincent, please." "You have one chance at redemption, Catherine. One." Meanwhile, Marcus was in Shanghai, touring the supposed $50 million development site. His local contact, arranged by Vincent's team, painted a picture of incredible potential. "The government approvals are guaranteed," the contact lied smoothly. "Construction can begin next quarter." Marcus called Elena immediately. "It's even better than we thought. This deal will set us up for life." Elena's laugh was musical. "Perfect! Let Vincent close it, then we'll take it in the divorce." How poetic, his greatest triumph becoming ours. But what they didn't know was that Vincent's forensic team had discovered something else. The tech specialist, David Park, hadn't just been creating false evidence, he'd been siphoning money from Elena's hidden accounts. "He's stolen almost $2 million, James reported. "Elena doesn't know yet." Vincent smiled. "Don't tell her, but document everything. When this implodes, I want her to know she was betrayed by her own conspirator." That evening, Vincent had dinner with both of his children. His son, Michael, had flown in from Los Angeles, where he ran the West Coast operations. "Dad, Sophia told me everything. How can we help?" Looking at his children, united, loyal, strong, Vincent felt the first warmth in weeks. "Your mother thinks she's isolated me. She's wrong. We're going to show her what real family means." Sophia pulled out a folder. "I've been researching Dr. Vance. She's not just falsifying records for Mom. She has 6 other active cases with suspicious patterns. If we expose her, the entire house of cards collapses," Michael finished. "Mom's credibility, the abuse claims, everything." Vincent raised his glass of water. "To family, the real kind." As they clinked glasses, Vincent's phone buzzed. "Rebecca, with another update. You need to see this. Elena just bought a property in Switzerland. Cash purchase, 8 million euros. The closing date, the day after she plans to file for divorce." Vincent smiled coldly. She was already spending money she didn't have yet. Perfect. The trap was nearly set. Elena, Marcus, and now Catherine, all the players were in position. They thought they were moving towards victory. They had no idea they were dancing to his tune.
In war, timing is everything. One conversation, recorded at the perfect moment, can change the entire battlefield. Dr. Patricia Vance's office occupied the top floor of a Madison Avenue building. Soft lighting, expensive art, and a veneer of professional respectability that masked the rot beneath. Elena sat in the patient chair, unaware that the woman across from her had been turned. "How are the symptoms progressing?" Dr. Vance asked, her voice carefully neutral. "I'm playing them perfectly," Elena replied. "The anxiety, the depression, the fear, Vincent's starting to notice. Last week I flinched when he raised his hand to touch my face." "Excellent. And the documentation?" "Every session recorded as you instructed. By the time we file, I'll have 6 months of evidence showing escalating psychological abuse." What Elena didn't know was that Dr. Vance was now wearing a wire, courtesy of a deal with the DA's office. Faced with evidence of her past frauds and current conspiracy, she'd flipped faster than a pancake on Sunday morning. "Tell me about the financial abuse," Dr. Vance prompted, following the script Vincent's team had prepared. She leaned forward, eager to embellish. "He controls everything. I have to beg for money for basic needs. He monitors my spending, questions every purchase. I'm like a prisoner in my own home." The irony wasn't lost on anyone listening. Elena describing fictional financial abuse while sitting on millions in stolen funds. "And your brother-in-law, how does he fit into this?" "Marcus has been my lifeline," Elena said, her voice taking on a practiced vulnerability. "He's seen Vincent's true nature. He'll testify about the business dealings, the ruthless tactics, the way Vincent destroys anyone who opposes him." "Including you?" "Especially me. 25 years of psychological torture, but I'm finally strong enough to fight back." In a van outside, Vincent listened with his legal team. Richardson, his lead attorney, shook his head. "She's good. If we didn't have evidence, I'd almost believe her. That's what makes her dangerous. She believes her own lies." The session continued for another 40 minutes. Elena detailed every aspect of their plan: the timeline, the hidden assets, even the post-divorce strategy to take over Vincent's business empire. Marcus already has relationships with the key investors. Once Vincent's reputation is destroyed, they'll shift their loyalty. Within a year, we'll control everything he built. When Elena finally left, Dr. Vance slumped in her chair. The FBI agent monitoring the recording nodded. "You did well. This, combined with the financial evidence, gives us enough for conspiracy charges." But Vincent wasn't ready to strike yet. The recording was damning, but he wanted more. He wanted them to commit fully to their plan, to believe victory was within reach. That night, he met with Catherine at a private location. His sister looked haggard, the weight of her betrayal etched in every line. "I've done what you asked. Fed Elena the false information about the offshore holdings. She thinks you have another 20 million hidden in Singapore." "Good. What's her next move?" "She's meeting with a forensic accountant tomorrow, someone Marcus found who specializes in finding hidden assets. They're paying him a fortune to track down everything." Vincent smiled. The forensic accountant was already on his payroll, ready to feed Elena exactly what she expected to find: accounts that existed only on paper, assets that would evaporate the moment she tried to claim them. "There's something else," Catherine continued. "I overheard her on a call. There's another player we didn't know about, someone she referred to as the architect." Vincent's eyes sharpened. "Any details?" "Just that the architect is the one who designed the whole plan. Elena and Marcus are following a playbook someone else created." This changed things. Vincent had assumed Elena was the mastermind, but if someone else was pulling the strings... His phone rang. "Sophia." "Dad, we have a problem. Mom just called. She wants to have a family meeting this weekend. All of us, including Marcus." "Did she say why?" "She said it's about the future of the family business. Dad, I think she's accelerating the timeline." Vincent's mind raced. Elena was supposed to wait 5 more months until the prenup expired, but if she's moving now... "Tell her yes. We'll all be there." After hanging up, Vincent turned to Catherine. "Find out everything you can about the architect.
If Elena is not the real mastermind, we need to know who is. As Catherine left, Vincent stood alone in the empty warehouse, surrounded by the evidence of betrayal. Recordings, documents, photographs, an arsenal of truth waiting to be deployed. But now there was a new variable. Someone in the shadows orchestrating everything. The game had just become more dangerous. And Vincent Moreau had never walked away from a challenge. They gathered around the table like a loving family. But beneath the smiles, everyone was armed with secrets that could destroy them all. The Moreau family estate in the Hamptons had hosted countless celebrations over the years. This Saturday afternoon, it would host a very different kind of gathering. Vincent arrived early, walking through rooms filled with memories. Family photos lined the walls, lies frozen in time, smiling faces hiding serpents' hearts. Michael and Sophia were already there, their expressions carefully neutral. They'd rehearsed this, knowing their reactions could make or break the charade. "Remember," Vincent told them quietly, "we know nothing. We suspect nothing. We're a happy family discussing business." Elena arrived with Marcus, both dressed impeccably. She kissed Vincent's cheek, her perfume the same as always. How many times had that scent meant comfort? Now it signaled danger. "Darling, thank you for arranging this," she said warmly. "Families should discuss important matters together." They gathered in the dining room. Maria, their housekeeper of 15 years, served lunch. Vincent wondered if she knew, if she'd noticed the changes. Servants often saw more than anyone realized. "So," Vincent began, playing the gracious host, "what's this about, Elena?" His wife exchanged glances with Marcus. "It's about the future, darling. You've built an incredible empire, but you're not getting younger. We need to discuss succession planning." "I'm 52, not 72, Vincent said with a laugh that didn't reach his eyes. "Of course, but it's never too early to plan." Elena's smile was perfect. "Marcus has some wonderful ideas about restructuring the company for the next generation." And there it was, the opening gambit. Marcus cleared his throat. "Vincent, you've been an incredible mentor, but the market's changing. We need fresh perspectives, new approaches." "Such as?" "Diversification into tech ventures, cryptocurrency investments. The old model of real estate development is becoming obsolete." Vincent nodded thoughtfully, while internally cataloging every lie. His real estate empire had returned 300% over the past decade. Obsolete indeed. "Interesting ideas," he said slowly. "Sophia, what do you think? You're seeing these trends in law." Sophia played her part perfectly. "Marcus might have a point. Some of our competitors are exploring blockchain for property transactions." "And Michael?" His son shrugged. "I'm focused on operations, but I trust Marcus's vision. He's family." The word hung in the air like a blade. Elena leaned forward. "What we're proposing is a gradual transition. Marcus takes on more responsibility. You maintain oversight, but reduce your day-to-day involvement. More time for us, for travel, for enjoying what you've built." "And the structure of this transition?" Vincent asked. Marcus produced a folder. "I've had our lawyers draft a preliminary proposal. Nothing binding, just ideas." Vincent flipped through the documents, his expression neutral while his mind dissected every clause. It was masterful, a complete transfer of power disguised as succession planning. Within 2 years, he'd be a figurehead while Marcus controlled everything. "This is comprehensive," Vincent said slowly. "We wanted to be thorough. Of course, we'd need to formalize everything properly.
Perhaps update some of the corporate documents, ensure everyone's interests are protected. Including updating signatures on key accounts, Vincent noted, giving Marcus access to everything before the divorce filing. I'll need to review this with my team, Vincent said. Of course, Marcus replied smoothly. But perhaps we could agree in principle. Families supporting family? Vincent looked around the table, his wife plotting his destruction, his brother-in-law stealing his life's work, his children forced to watch this charade. Family, he repeated, that's what matters most. He raised his water glass. To the future. They all toasted, crystal ringing with false cheer. After lunch, Elena pulled Sophia aside while Marcus engaged Michael in discussion about the West Coast operations. Vincent watched from the terrace, seeing his family fracture in real time. His phone vibrated. A text from Rebecca. Urgent. The architect identified. You're not going to believe this. Vincent stepped away, calling her immediately. Who is it? Jonathan Blackwood. Vincent's blood chilled. Blackwood, his former partner who tried to destroy him 15 years ago. The man he'd beaten in court, whose attempted hostile takeover had failed spectacularly. You're certain? He's been funding Elena's activities through shell companies. The €8 million property in Switzerland? He holds the mortgage. He's not just planning your destruction, Vincent. He's financing it. Everything clicked into place. Elena's sudden sophistication in financial manipulation. The 3-year timeline, exactly when Blackwood had been released from prison for his previous schemes. He found my weakness, Vincent said quietly. He couldn't beat me in business, so he corrupted my family. There's more. I tracked his communications. He's been in contact with someone else in your inner circle, someone codenamed Bishop. Vincent's mind raced through possibilities. Who else had Blackwood turned? Looking back at his family gathered in his home, Vincent felt the full weight of the conspiracy. This wasn't just about money or divorce. This was about complete annihilation. But Blackwood had made the same mistake he'd made 15 years ago. He'd underestimated Vincent Moreau. Vincent ordered, "Double the surveillance. I want to know every move Blackwood makes and find out who Bishop is." As he walked back to his family, Vincent's resolve hardened. They thought they were playing chess. They didn't realize he'd already won.
In chess, the bishop moves diagonally, striking from unexpected angles. Vincent was about to discover his bishop had been hiding in plain sight. The revelation came at 3 a.m. in the form of a secure message from Rebecca. Vincent read it twice, unable to process the betrayal. James Chen, his CFO, his best friend of 30 years, the man helping him fight Elena. He was Bishop. The evidence was irrefutable. Encrypted communications with Blackwood dating back 4 years, financial transfers hidden beneath layers of legitimate transactions. Most damning, James had been feeding Blackwood information about Vincent's countermoves. Vincent sat in his dark study, understanding flooding through him like poison. Every strategy session, every confidential discussion, all of it had been reported to his enemies. His phone rang. James, of all people. "Vincent, I found something urgent about Elena's accounts." "Come to the office, now," Vincent said calmly. An hour later, James entered Vincent's office carrying files and wearing the mask of a loyal friend. Vincent watched him, seeing the performance for what it was. "I've traced more hidden transfers. Elena's moved another—" "Stop." Vincent placed a folder on the desk. Photos of James meeting with Blackwood, bank records, encrypted messages decoded.
James's face went through several transformations: shock, calculation, and finally, resignation. "How long have you known?" James asked, dropping all pretense. 12 hours, though I should have known sooner. You were too helpful, too eager to assist. You were steering me, weren't you? Controlling what I discovered and when." James sat heavily. "It wasn't supposed to be like this." "No. How was it supposed to be? You helping Blackwood and Elena destroy me while pretending to be my friend. You don't understand." "Then explain." Vincent's voice was deadly quiet. "Explain how 30 years of friendship was worth less than whatever Blackwood offered you." James looked older suddenly, defeated. "He didn't offer me money, Vincent. He offered me the truth." "What truth?" "About my father's death, about what really happened to Chen Industries." Vincent's eyes narrowed. James's father had died when they were in college, his company mysteriously bankrupt overnight. "Your father made bad investments." "No," James's voice was bitter. "Your father destroyed him, a hostile takeover disguised as a helping hand. My family lost everything while yours built an empire on the ruins." Vincent sat back, pieces of history realigning. "So this is revenge for something that happened before we were even in business?" "Blackwood showed me the documents, the proof. Your family's fortune, the seed money for everything you built, came from destroying mine." "And you believed him? Blackwood? A convicted fraudster with every reason to lie?" "The documents were forgeries." Vincent pulled out another folder. "I had them analyzed the moment I learned about your betrayal. Expertly done, but fake. Blackwood played you, James. He used your grief and turned you into a weapon against me." James's hand shook as he reviewed the evidence. The watermarks were wrong. The signatures didn't match. The timeline was impossible. Everything he'd believed, everything that had justified his betrayal, lies. "Oh God, Vincent, what have I done?" "You've been feeding them our strategies. Every move I made they countered, because you told them. The Shanghai deal, you knew it was a trap?" James nodded miserably. "I told them it was worthless. They think they're playing along to maintain cover." "What else?" "The Swiss accounts. They know you're tracking them. Elena has been creating false trails to waste your resources." Vincent processed this. Every victory he thought he'd achieved had been orchestrated. But that also meant, "They think they're still winning," he said slowly. "They don't know that I know about you." "Vincent, I'll do anything." "Yes, you will." Vincent's tone brooked no argument. "You're going to keep playing your role. Feed them information I give you. And you're going to help me destroy Jonathan Blackwood once and for all." "You're not turning me in." "You were manipulated by a master. That doesn't excuse your betrayal, but it does give you a chance at redemption. One chance, James. Fail me again." "I won't, I swear." Vincent stood, looking out at the city. "Tell me everything, every detail of Blackwood's plan." For the next 2 hours, James laid out the conspiracy in full. It was more complex than Vincent had imagined. Blackwood hadn't just turned Elena, he'd been grooming her for years, playing on her insecurities and greed. The affair with Marcus was orchestrated, designed to create a backup conspirator. The endgame isn't just divorce. After you're destroyed financially and reputationally, Blackwood plans to buy your company assets for pennies on the dollar. He's already lined up investors. Who? The Kovac Group, international players with no scruples about hostile takeovers. I knew them by reputation, corporate raiders who left destruction in their wake. When do they move? The family meeting was the trigger. Elena's supposed to get you to sign the succession documents. Once Marcus has authority, they'll accelerate everything. The divorce filing, the abuse allegations, the asset freeze, all within 48 hours. Then we have 2 days. Vincent's phone buzzed. "Sophia." Texting urgently. "Mom's at my apartment, says she needs to talk. Something's wrong." He called her immediately. "Don't let her leave. I'm coming." Dad, she seems scared. Vincent grabbed his coat. James, you're coming with me. Time to see if you meant what you said about redemption. During the drive, Vincent's mind raced. Elena scared? That wasn't part of the plan. Unless... They arrived to find Elena pacing Sophia's living room, her perfect composure cracked. Vincent! She seemed genuinely surprised. What are you doing here? Sophia called. She said you were upset. Elena's eyes darted between them, calculating. I needed to talk to someone. About us. What about us? For a moment, Vincent saw something in her eyes. Uncertainty? Regret? Or just another performance? I think someone is following me, Elena said. Strange cars, calls with no one there. Vincent, I'm scared. Sophia looked concerned. James stayed silent, watching. Vincent studied his wife. Was this real fear or part of the plan? Then he noticed it. Her hands. Elena had a tell when she was genuinely frightened. Her thumb would rub against her wedding ring unconsciously. She was doing it now. Who would follow you? He asked carefully. I don't know. That's why I came to Sophia. I thought, maybe it's related to your business. You know how ruthless some of your competitors are. There it was, setting up the narrative that any threat came from his world, not hers. But the fear seemed real, which meant... James, Vincent said quietly, make some calls. Discreet inquiries about unusual activity around my family. As James stepped away, Vincent made a decision. Elena, why don't you stay here tonight? Sophia has security, and we can figure this out in the morning. Elena nodded, seemingly grateful, but Vincent caught the quick glance at her phone, the subtle check of the time. She was on a schedule. Whatever had scared her, it hadn't changed her timeline. Vincent said, I'll have security increased around all family members. No one threatens my family. The irony of protecting someone actively trying to destroy him wasn't lost on Vincent, but if Elena was genuinely in danger, it meant another player had entered the game. Someone even Blackwood hadn't accounted for. The chessboard had just become three-dimensional.
When predators circle, sometimes they attract an even deadlier hunter. Vincent was about to discover his enemies had enemies of their own. The attack came at dawn. Elena's driver found her car tire slashed, a note tucked under the windshield. Stop now or lose everything. Vincent examined the note in his office while Elena sat across from him, genuinely shaken for the first time he could remember. This isn't your style, she said, and he heard the accusation beneath the words. No, he agreed, it's not. Because Vincent knew something Elena didn't. The note wasn't meant for her. It was meant for Blackwood, using Elena as a messenger. Rebecca had uncovered the truth the night before. Blackwood had double-crossed the wrong people. The Kovac Group, his supposed partners, had discovered he was planning to cut them out of the deal once he'd acquired Vincent's assets. They're cleaning house, Rebecca had explained. Kovac doesn't tolerate betrayal. They're warning Blackwood through his pawns. Now, watching Elena's fear, Vincent saw an opportunity. I'll protect you, he told his wife, but I need complete honesty. Is there anything, any business dealings, any people you've been involved with that might explain this? Elena's internal struggle was visible. Maintain the lie or seek protection? I've been talking to some investors, she said carefully, about potential opportunities. Nothing concrete. What kind of investors? International. Marcus introduced me. He said they were interested in real estate ventures. Vincent kept his expression neutral. The Kovac Group? Elena's sharp intake of breath was answer enough. Elena, the Kovac Group doesn't invest, they devour. If you've gotten involved with them... It was just preliminary discussions. The mask was cracking. Marcus said they could help with future plans. What future plans?
But Elena caught herself. The training Blackwood had given her reasserting itself. Investment diversification. Nothing important. Vincent let it go. For now. That afternoon, an unexpected visitor arrived at his office, Dmitry Kovac himself, a man who rarely left his Swiss fortress. "Mr. Moreau," Kovac said in accented English, "we need to discuss Jonathan Blackwood." Vincent gestured to a chair. "I'm listening." "Blackwood has promised us your empire. We've invested considerable resources based on his assurances. Now we discover he plans to betray us. And you want what from me?" Kovac smiled coldly. "Blackwood believes he's using your wife to destroy you. What if we, instead, destroy him? Together?" "I don't make deals with vultures." "No? Even when the vulture offers to eat your enemies?" Kovac placed a file on the desk. "This is everything we have on Blackwood. His real financials, his hidden crimes, his vulnerabilities. All yours in exchange for one thing. Which is, when this is over, you sell me the Shanghai property. The real one, not the worthless decoy you've prepared for your wife's lover." Vincent's respect for Kovac increased marginally. The man had done his homework. "And if I refuse?" "Then we proceed with Blackwood's plan. Your wife files for divorce, we support her claims, and we take everything in the chaos that follows." Kovac stood. "But I prefer efficiency. Blackwood is a liability. You're a businessman. Choose wisely." After Kovac left, Vincent studied the file. It was a treasure trove, evidence of Blackwood's crimes going back decades, including several murders disguised as accidents. His phone rang. Michael, panicked. "Dad, something's happened to Marcus. He's in the hospital. Car accident, but it doesn't look accidental." Vincent arrived at the hospital to find his family gathered. Elena clung to him, her fear now completely genuine. Marcus was in surgery, his condition critical. "The brake lines were cut. The police are investigating," Michael whispered. Vincent looked at his wife, seeing her process the reality that her co-conspirator had been targeted. Her carefully constructed world was crumbling. "Vincent, I need to tell you something." But before she could continue, Sophia appeared with 2 FBI agents. "Mr. Moreau, we need to speak with you about Jonathan Blackwood. He's been murdered." The waiting room went silent. Vincent felt the ground shift beneath his feet. Blackwood dead? That changed everything. "When?" 3 hours ago. Professional execution. We believe it's connected to the attack on Mr. Marcus Santos." Elena's face went white. Her 2 protectors, one dead, one dying. She looked at Vincent with new eyes, perhaps wondering if the man she'd plotted to destroy was now her only protection. "Agent," Vincent said calmly, "I believe my wife has information relevant to your investigation." Elena's head snapped toward him, betrayal in her eyes. But what choice did she have? The game had changed. The hunters had become the hunted. And Vincent Moreau was the only one who knew all the rules.
When the walls close in and the masks fall away, sometimes the only currency left is truth. Elena Moreau was about to pay in full. The FBI interview room was stark, unforgiving. Elena sat between 2 lawyers, her perfect facade finally, completely shattered. Vincent watched from behind one-way glass as his wife of 25 years unraveled her web of lies. "It started 4 years ago," Elena began, her voice hollow. "Jonathan Blackwood approached me at a charity gala. He knew things about our marriage, our finances, my dissatisfaction." The lead agent, Sarah Coleman, nodded encouragingly. "Go on." "He showed me documents suggesting Vincent had hidden millions from me, offshore accounts, shell companies. He said I was entitled to more than the prenup allowed, that Vincent had been financially abusing me for years." Vincent felt Sophia's hand on his arm.
His daughter had insisted on being present, her legal mind cataloging every admission. I was angry, hurt. 20 years of marriage, and I thought my husband was treating me like an employee, not a partner. So you agreed to work with Blackwood? Not immediately, but he was persistent, charming. He introduced me to people who'd been wronged by Vincent, made me feel like I was part of something righteous. Agent Coleman slid photos across the table. These people? Elena identified each one. Disgruntled former employees, competitors Vincent had outmaneuvered, all carefully curated by Blackwood to paint Vincent as a monster. When did the relationship with Marcus Santos begin? Elena's composure cracked further. 2 years ago. Blackwood suggested I needed an ally inside the family business. Marcus was receptive, ambitious. He felt Vincent didn't appreciate his contributions. Was the relationship romantic from the start? No. That was calculated. Blackwood said emotional involvement would ensure loyalty. He was right. In the observation room, Vincent felt nothing. The woman confessing wasn't his wife. She was a stranger who'd worn his wife's face. Tell us about the financial transfers, Coleman pressed. For the next hour, Elena detailed the conspiracy, the Swiss accounts, the hidden transfers, the plan to claim abuse and take everything in the divorce. She revealed names, dates, amounts, a complete blueprint of betrayal. What about Dr. Patricia Vance? Blackwood found her, said she'd create the necessary documentation to support abuse claims. I met with her weekly, building a false narrative. Did you believe you were being abused? Elena was quiet for a long moment. I convinced myself it was true, that Vincent's focus on business, his success, his control, that it was all abuse. Blackwood was very good at making lies feel like truth. What was the end game? File for divorce right before our prenup expired. Use the abuse allegations to break the agreement. Take at least half of everything, plus damages. Blackwood then buy Vincent's distressed assets through shell companies. And your cut? 40% of the recovered assets, plus whatever I got in the divorce. Coleman leaned forward. Who killed Blackwood? I don't know. Elena's fear was palpable. When Marcus was attacked, I thought Vincent had discovered everything. But then Blackwood died, and I realized we were all pawns in someone else's game. The Kovac group? Elena nodded. Blackwood was playing all sides. He promised them Vincent's empire, but planned to keep it himself. He promised me wealth, but was probably planning to discard me once I'd served my purpose. Will you testify to all of this? Elena looked directly at the mirror, knowing Vincent was watching. Yes, I'll testify to everything. The interview continued for 3 more hours. By the end, Elena had implicated 17 people in various aspects of the conspiracy. The FBI had enough to dismantle Blackwood's entire network, even with him dead. When it was over, Vincent met with Agent Coleman privately. Your wife's cooperation is valuable, but she still faces serious charges: conspiracy, fraud, money laundering. I understand. Do you? Your testimony could influence her sentencing. Victim impact statements carry weight. Vincent considered this. Elena had tried to destroy him, but she had also been manipulated by a master criminal. Where did victimhood end and culpability begin? Agent Coleman, what happened to the money Elena transferred? Frozen. All $8 million recovered. It'll be returned after the investigation. And Marcus? Stable, but facing charges when he recovers. His involvement was less sophisticated, but equally criminal. That evening, Vincent sat with his children in his study. The house felt different, lighter, despite everything. She's going to prison, Sophia said quietly. Most likely, Vincent agreed. Do you hate her? Michael asked. Vincent considered the question. I hate what she did. I hate that she chose greed over family. But hate her? No, I pity her. She had everything, then threw it away for an illusion. What happens now? Sophia asked. We rebuild. The company's intact. Our reputation will recover. The truth has a way of restoring balance. His phone buzzed. A message from Dmitry Kovac. Blackwood's death was necessary. Our business is concluded. The Shanghai property remains yours. Vincent deleted the message. Some truths were better left unspoken. Later, alone in his office, Vincent looked at a family photo from happier times, or times he'd thought were happy. Had any of it been real? His phone rang. An unknown number. Mr. Moreau, this is Catherine, your sister. I know you have every reason to hang up. What do you want, Catherine? To apologize. To explain. To beg for forgiveness I don't deserve. Vincent was silent. I've been following the news. Elena's arrest, Blackwood's death. I know I was part of it, and I'm ready to face the consequences. But I needed you to know. I'm sorry, Vincent. For everything. Sorry doesn't rebuild trust, Catherine. I know, but maybe someday we can rebuild something. Not what we had, but something honest. Vincent ended the call without responding. Forgiveness would come, perhaps, but not tonight. Tonight was for truth, bitter and cleansing. Tomorrow would be for rebuilding.
In the aftermath of war, victors count their gains and losses. But Vincent Moreau was about to learn that some battles leave no winners, only survivors. 6 months after Elena's arrest, Vincent stood in a Manhattan courtroom watching his wife receive her sentence. 15 years, with possibility of parole in 7. She looked smaller in her prison jumpsuit. The designer clothes and perfect makeup replaced by stark reality. Their eyes met once. Elena mouthed, "I'm sorry," but Vincent had already turned away. Apologies couldn't resurrect a dead marriage or restore stolen years. Marcus had pled guilty to lesser charges, receiving 5 years. His recovery from the accident had been slow, painful, perhaps fitting punishment for a man who'd betrayed family for ambition. Dr. Patricia Vance lost her license permanently and faced 3 years for fraud. The network Blackwood had built crumbled, each conspirator turning on the others in hopes of leniency. But victory felt hollow as Vincent sat in his office reviewing the final accounting. His empire was intact, even strengthened by the publicity. The attempted coup had failed spectacularly, yet what had he truly won? Sophia entered, carrying coffee and concern. The Journal wants a statement about the sentencing. No statements. It's over. Is it? She sat across from him. Dad, you've barely left this office in months. When's the last time you went home? Home. The word felt foreign. The Hampton estate stood empty now, too full of ghosts to inhabit. I've been thinking of selling it, Vincent admitted. And going where? He didn't answer, because he didn't know. For 30 years, he'd built an empire. For 25, he'd built a family. One survived. The other lay in ruins. His phone rang. James Chen calling from the new office. Vincent had moved the entire operation, unable to work in spaces tainted by betrayal. The Singapore investors are here, James reported. Since his confession and cooperation with authorities, he'd worked tirelessly to earn redemption. Vincent hadn't forgiven, but he had allowed him to prove his worth. I'll be there in 20. But first, another matter. Vincent opened his desk drawer, pulling out a letter that had arrived that morning. Catherine's handwriting, postmarked from Arizona, where she'd relocated after testifying. Vincent, I know you don't want to hear from me, but I needed you to know that I've started over.
No more lies, no more schemes. I'm teaching now, middle school math. It's honest work. Robert and I divorced. The gambling, the debts, they were just symptoms of a rotten foundation. I'm building something real now, small, but true. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect anything. But if you ever find yourself in Phoenix, coffee's on me. The real kind, not the poisoned chalice I helped serve before. Your sister, if I can still claim that. Catherine. Vincent filed the letter with the others she'd sent. Someday, perhaps, he'd answer. But trust, once shattered, required more than words to rebuild. The Singapore meeting went well. New partnerships, new projects, the machinery of business grinding forward. Vincent found solace in the work, in building something tangible while his personal life lay in ruins. That evening, Michael called from Los Angeles. "Dad, I have news. Sarah's pregnant. You're going to be a grandfather." The words hit Vincent unexpectedly. New life, future, hope. "That's wonderful, son. We want you here for the birth. Will you come?" "Of course." After hanging up, Vincent stood at his window, city lights stretching endlessly below. A grandfather. The cycle continuing, despite everything. Sophia appeared in his doorway. "Good news?" "The best. Michael's going to be a father." She smiled, then grew serious. "Dad, can I ask you something? If you could go back, knowing everything, would you have married Mom?" Vincent considered the question that had haunted him for months. Yes. Even knowing how it would end. "Your mother gave me you and Michael. Whatever else she did, whoever else she became, she helped create the two best things in my life. That's worth any pain." Sophia hugged him then, and Vincent felt something inside begin to thaw. Later, alone in his penthouse, Vincent made a decision. He called his real estate agent. "List the Hampton house and find me something smaller, maybe near the park, somewhere new." It was time to stop living in the past. His phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Mr. Moreau, you don't know me, but Jonathan Blackwood destroyed my family too. Thank you for stopping him. A grateful stranger." Vincent deleted the message, but kept the sentiment. He'd been so focused on his own losses, he'd forgotten that stopping Blackwood had prevented future victims. Perhaps that was enough. Perhaps that was everything. As midnight approached, Vincent poured himself a scotch, the first in months, and made a toast to the empty room. "To survival," he said quietly, "to truth, and to whatever comes next." The city hummed below, indifferent and eternal. But for the first time since that night in the rain, listening to his world collapse, Vincent Moreau felt something like peace. The war was over. The rebuilding had begun.
They say time heals all wounds, but Vincent Moreau was about to discover that sometimes healing means building something entirely new from the ashes of the old. 2 years later, Vincent stood in a community center in Queens, watching children learn coding on computers his foundation had donated. The Moreau Family Trust had pivoted from pure real estate to community development, education, and second chances. "Mr. M," a young boy named Carlos ran up to him. "Look what I programmed. It's a game about building cities." Vincent knelt to look at the screen, genuinely impressed. "That's excellent work, Carlos. Maybe someday you'll build real cities." "Like you?" "Better than me," Vincent said, meaning it. Sophia appeared at his shoulder, now running the foundation's legal division. "The mayor's here for the dedication ceremony." Vincent nodded but lingered, watching Carlos eagerly explain his code to other children. This was building something that mattered.
The ceremony was brief. Vincent had insisted on no lengthy speeches, just action. As the mayor cut the ribbon on the new wing, Vincent noticed a familiar face in the crowd. Catherine. His sister stood at the back, clearly uncertain of her welcome. They hadn't spoken in 2 years, though her letters had continued, updates on her life, her work, her own journey toward redemption. After the ceremony, she approached cautiously. Vincent. Vincent. They stood awkwardly, the weight of betrayal and blood between them. "The center's wonderful," she said. "I read about the foundation. $20 million in community investments last year." "It's a start." "I'm not here to ask for anything," Catherine said quickly. I wanted to see what you were building. It's inspiring." Vincent studied his sister. She looked different. Older, yes, but also clearer somehow. The desperation and greed had been replaced by something quieter. "How's Phoenix?" "Hot, but good. I'm assistant principal now." She smiled slightly. "Turns out I'm decent at helping kids who've made mistakes find better paths. Imagine that." "Imagine that," Vincent repeated. They talked for a few more minutes, careful, surface conversation, but when Catherine turned to leave, Vincent made a decision. "Catherine, we're having dinner Sunday. Family dinner. Sophia insists on cooking, which means we'll probably order pizza. You should come." His sister's eyes filled with tears. "Vincent, It's just dinner. Not forgiveness, not forgetting. Just dinner." "I'll be there." That evening, Vincent met with someone else from his past. James Chen sat across from him in a small restaurant, their monthly meeting to review the foundation's finances. "The scholarship program's fully funded for next year. 50 kids from low-income families full rides to college." "Good. What about the small business grants?" 17 approved this month, all to people rebuilding after bankruptcy or other failures. They both knew what other failures meant, people like them, who'd lost their way and needed a second chance. "Vincent," James said carefully, "I need to tell you something. I'm leaving New York." Vincent looked up sharply. "My daughter got into Stanford. My wife thinks a fresh start would be good for all of us. And—" James paused. "I think it's time. I've done what I can to make amends, but my presence is a constant reminder of betrayal. You deserve to move forward without that shadow." Vincent was quiet for a long moment. "Where will you go?" "San Francisco. I've got a job offer. Small firm. Nothing like what we built, but honest work." "When?" "Next month." They finished dinner discussing transition plans. As they parted, James extended his hand. "Thank you, Vincent, for the second chance. For not destroying me when you had every right to. For showing me that redemption is possible." Vincent shook his hand. "Make it count, James. That's all any of us can do." Later, in his new apartment, smaller but warmer than his penthouse, Vincent video-called with his grandson. Little Vincent Jr., now 18 months old, babbled excitedly at the screen while Michael tried to keep him focused. "Say hi to Grandpa." Gone, Pa." Vincent felt his heart swell. This was what mattered now. Not the empire, not the victories or defeats, but these connections. Fragile, precious, real. His phone buzzed, a notification from his lawyer. Elena had requested a video call from prison, her first attempt at contact since the trial. Vincent stared at the request. Part of him wanted to decline, to leave that chapter forever closed, but another part, the part that had learned about second chances and redemption, hesitated. He thought about Carlos and his city-building game, about Catherine teaching kids who'd made mistakes find better paths, about James starting over in California, about his grandson, innocent of all the sins that came before. Everyone was rebuilding something. Vincent approved the call. Not today. He wasn't ready. But soon. Because if he'd learned anything from the ashes of betrayal,
It was that the strongest foundations were built not on perfection, but on truth, forgiveness, and the courage to begin again. Outside his window, New York sparkled in the darkness. The city that never slept, always building, always becoming. Just like him. Just like all of them. Vincent raised his glass of water, he rarely drank anymore, in a silent toast. To new foundations, to second chances, to the architect of his own redemption. The story wasn't over. In many ways, it was just beginning. But this time, he was building something unshakable, not because it was perfect, but because it was true. And truth, Vincent had learned, was the only foundation that lasted. The end. In the end, we are all architects of our own redemption. The question is not whether we fall, but whether we choose to build something better from the ruins.